Wowzers. What a crazy 24 hours. You guys see what is happening, right? An entire blockchain got shut down with Binance, right? I didn't even know that was possible. Last night I learned that BSC has 21 validators. I don't know. This does not bode well for me personally related to Pulse Chain, where again, all the control sits with one person. But we're going to talk about that. We have a response from CZ, right? So from the actual CEO of Binance, he did an interview this morning. It came out 2 hours ago on CNBC. That we're going to get into. We're also going to get into a detailed string from Sam Kuhn or Sam CZS or whatever his name is on Twitter, breaking down exactly what happened. Crazy time to be in crypto. There's so much cool stuff happening. I don't even know where to get started. We've got W, we've got F, we've got Hex on all these platforms. We've got Hedron on all these platforms. I just want to talk about crypto all the time. And it's such an exciting time learning about all this kind of stuff. There's some stuff with that's happening in development all over the place, right? We have the Maxi guys doing the stuff over there, coming out with new shit. That shit can be applied elsewhere in the ecosystem of crypto. What a wild, 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 wild time. Now, what I want you guys to do real quick, let me tweet this out here. And I want you to take a second and tweet this out for me. GRC is sleeping in. He needed to take a little nappers. So I want you guys to tweet this out. I'm going to play the intro from DeFi Proof, and I will share this in here, and I want everybody to tweet it out. DeFi Proof, official rapper of the morning show. Boom.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge on, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim Reddit sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on phone.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
We're gonna take notes.
We are back here. I just saw this comment here. I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick. Archie and Antel Del Sol, Mr. Profit. What's good, everybody? Glad to see everybody here. Mr. Ego. Wow. BSC chain is a no-go for me after this exploit happened. Also, it's centralized as F if they know all the validators to shut down the chain so fast. Yes, but if that's how you feel, that's how Pulse Chain is going to be, bro. That's exactly how Pulse is going to be. There's 32 validators versus 21 validators. You don't think all those efforts know each other? You don't think all of them combine together and do something like this? 1,000%. One person's going to own the vast majority of Pulse. Richard Hart. You don't think he's going to fucking control it? Of course he's going to do it, right? And after you see this, it also, I'd like to believe what Richard has to say, and I like to believe that he's going to come out with something great, right? But still don't like the centralized ownership, whether it's that fucker or somebody else, BSC, right? Don't care for it at all whatsoever. So that'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I think that most people in crypto don't actually care about the centralization, but we have a spectrum of people in crypto, right? And so most people don't care about centralization. But the people who are paying attention, like you, Mr. Ego, like myself, like a lot of other people in here, like Cypher Lock here, are paying attention. And those people will probably stay away from BSC. But then again, they're going to stay away from Pulse too, right? Because it's going to be the same fucking thing similarly over there, right? The DEX, remember, Pancake Swap, BSC, kind of controlled by the same thing, right? We're going to have the same idea. Pulse Chain and Pulse X, kind of controlled by the same thing, right? Do you want your shit to get shut down by one individual? I don't know. You can't call this a bad thing without calling this a bad thing, right? You can't say that Binance is a bad idea and what they're doing is bad without saying what Richard Hart is doing is bad as well, because it's still centralized control. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. What's Gucci, Franklin? Great to see you here. Par Excellence. Good morning. 3 Mason loggers burned down in Canada yesterday. What a shame. What a shame. My friend is from there. Buenos dias to all and to you as well. Good morning. Pulse Chain devs are aware of the bugs. Fantastic. Good morning. Had my workout this morning. Already sweaty because I'm so excited about what's happening in crypto. I thought about trying Zen on BNB. Going to stick with ETH and Matic. Cool. It should be on ETHW as well. Good morning, Peppy. Lots of coffee. Let's talk about the BNB is not true crypto off button. Well, that's how Pulse Chain is going to be, bro. Yes, they're working on fixing BSC bugs. Also, that was a bridge hack, not a network hack. We're going to get into this, correct? That's it was a bridge hack, not the actual chain hack. They just shut the chain actually down. Morning, AJ. Thank you for that, Franklin. It was, I think we get into that in one of the videos or what's actually going on. We're going to pull up the tweet first, and then we're going to get into what CZ actually has to say about this in a few moments. I couldn't be more full of conviction than I am now. This has just given me more certainty that ETHW, and PLS will be good networks to be on for Hex, Hedron, and so on, right? But it's going to be the same idea with Pulse as BSC, right? But this comment was probably left before I was talking about that. Stolt, it only is rare and powerful. Yes. Look at my right bicep and my left bicep. Having a blast. Let's get into this. Sam, holding down. Yes. GRC taking a little nappers. Crazy, barely keeping up with our own universe. Crypto is moving at an astonishing speed. When you think about what was happening back in 1998, 1997, 1999, 2000, there was one area, one industry, one specific part that was growing, right? There was people were testing new things. People were trying new things. People were being creative. People were being resourceful. That was the internet. That was .com. If you had anything .com, you could go on IPO and fucking sell dirt for $0. That was $0 for millions and millions of dollars, right? That was back in 1998, 1999, right? 2000. Today, we have these gargantuan companies that came out of that time, right? Amazon is the first one that would come to mind, but there's been many others, right? PayPal and eBay and fucking Yahoo, AOL, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think is happening right now? Walmart's laying off employees, the largest employer in the country, right? Amazon just announced they're laying off employees. We already know Coinbase and KuCoin, I think it was, and several other crypto-specific places are laying off employees. The main industries are contracting. They're getting smaller, except for EVs, right? That's another industry that's exploding. But we're not going to talk about that. What ends up happening through this time period, which is a beautiful time to be alive, is chaos, right? Because there's so much development that is happening, so many new things that are happening. This is the Wild Wild West. You don't think back in 1997, there was rug pulls perpetually? There was, you could go do an IPO and your shit just didn't work out and you just collected millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street. Done. What the F do you think happens today, right? We're going through this thing a second time. We're doing this again. There's rug pulls galore. There's all sorts of scams happening, right? You're literally shutting down a blockchain that's supposedly public. Pretty crazy times. But this is called Web3, right? We're in Web3, as what people like to call this. Yet, at the same time, we're in V1. Crypto's been out for 14 years, 13 years. This is just the very beginning. Very beginning. So these issues that we see will eventually get solved in V2 or V3 versions of crypto as crypto improves, right? There'll be less of this kind of stuff, right? To go public, it's far more challenging today than it was in 1998. And to have a successful IPO, right, back in the day was super easy, right? Because it was feverish. Right now, you launch something in crypto and you can make money just like that, even if it's garbage, right? Well, that's going to change at some point. But we're in this golden time where you can find those Amazons. You can find those eBays that are going to be gargantuan in the future, right? But you have to really pay attention to what's going on because there's a lot of garbage out there. Sam, thoughts on the bridge hack? We're going to get into that and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Franklin, the bridge is where the money got robbed. Yes, that's what he's saying. Paula Rosa, y'all want me to drive over there and wake his ass up? What's up, Pete? It's all good. It's all good. Great to see you here, P. That's GRC's girlfriend. BSC isn't going anywhere. Degen's gonna degen. Correct. I'm doing some serious degen shit that I probably won't talk about on this show here. Stoll, don't forget that Richard and the team are fixing BSC bugs. So it's not that it's a BSC bug. It was a bridge, but the idea that there's centralized ownership, right? Same thing on BSC and Pancake. Then you go over here. You have Pulse and PulseX. Same effing thing. Same thing. If you can shut down BSC, right? This network that people all around the entire globe use. Think Amazon, think Google, think what they did to the president of the United States. They're doing that in crypto right here. Richard can do the same fucking thing over here. But before we get into the video with CZ and the text in terms of tweets, we have somebody that we're going to bring on. I think they may have woken up for their nappy. What's up, bro? It looks like you decided to get up, dude.
Dude, I stayed up all night.
Bush is like, hey, did you see GRC tweeting at like 3 a.m.? And he's like, he's probably not going to wake up on time.
No, so I'm starting to lose that responsibility feeling that you have when you're a kid and you're like, oh, not up for school. I'm not up for work. Oh, I'm not up for this. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any one of you fuckers.
You're like, I gotta get up by 10:45.
I was making money last night, doing my thing, trying to figure stuff out. But the only reason I stayed up last night is because I felt that there was some time-sensitive information that I wanted to stay up for. That's the only reason. I didn't stay up because I wanted to stay up. I saw that Ethereum Fair was did 120% off the top, and now it's more expensive than Ethereum. I mean, Hex Fair. There must
Fair.
have
Wait. So I missed this out on Fair. So
Fair is more expensive than POW now for Hex.
The Hex prices or the ETH-W prices or ETH-F?
Hex.
Okay, cool.
Like it went like 150%, and then they evened out. But somebody did it kind of manually. I could tell because the chart just went straight up. Like,
yep, it was a person. Yep, and then you get pile on after that, and
I see. I took 10% of the position for sure. Fuck yeah, I did.
I have a boatload of Hex, so that's
but now Ethereum POW Hex has dropped roughly 28% in the last 24 hours, and it's down to 0.004624. Ethereum Fair is at 0.00.
So ETH-W, I'm sorry, Hex-W is 3 zeros and a 4, and
Hex Fair. Hex POW is 306235. That's Ethereum Fair.
Hex-W is 3 zeros 463.
Oh, so wow, they kind of even.
They're close, but they're not. There's
But the point being that yesterday fair was way lower, and then it did 150%, and then the other one went down while it was doing it, and Hedron, of course, did more numbers on both. I mean,
hey, so what does this make you? For me, this is
it's getting
makes me.
scary.
It makes me definitely way more apprehensive about Pulse Chain. Like way more apprehensive, right? It's all going to be centralized control. By
I
CZ
think
is
the
trying to do
game
the same
changes
thing.
when you get $2 billion first.
Let me jump in about the centralized control thing, because I don't know if you know this, Sam. BNB runs all their validators, so that's why it's centralized. Like you can't go to spin up a validator on Binance if you wanted to, unlike Pulse Chain, which you have the ability to. So that's the difference. So like I just want to like correct you on that. Like everyone who's like been around Binance, they know that the top organization, they own and run all the validators.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Thank you for sharing that, Bosch.
there's a lot of parts of it. I've been under the interpretation since I got into this industry at all. I said this is all centralized garbage, and you guys are lying pieces of shit. Like that, and that. Yes, just because the code is automated, like that's what people kind of. And I want your take on this, Sam. Like, just because the code is automated, right? You've seen automated code. You were in banking. Like, okay, that's what automated code was created for. All that shit. Now we move into this place. Every one of these can be stopped by the founders. Every single one of them. There's nothing out there except Zen Pro. No, I'm kidding. I spit it out. No.
Right,
Zen Protocol's going for a fair launch, which would be interesting.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't know. It definitely put like another, definitely put a damper on Pulse for myself after seeing this take place.
Why?
Yesterday.
I'm confused.
Because I don't want my shit shut down. I don't care who it is.
Why?
You know what I mean?
Why would it get shut down?
Oh, why did BSC get shut down?
Because they shut it down because there was a bridge attack and they wanted to see what it was.
Yeah, so correct. So you don't think that could happen on Pulse with a different bridge?
It could, but like.
And you don't think that all the people who are running validators know each other? Right?
That's the thing I don't know. Like, well, that's what CZ just went on Twitter and was just like, "Hey, everyone who's running validators, shut it off."
Let's get into these tweets. And
yeah, go ahead, dude.
There's an interview. There's an interview with CZ that we're going to get into in a second. You want to read through these? These are from this dude here on Twitter. He does research. 5 hours ago, an attacker stole 2 million BNB, about 566 million USD from the Binance bridge. During that time, I've been working closely with multiple parties to triage and resolve this issue. Here's how it all went down. And then he goes on to say, it all started when whoever this dude is here, On-Chain Sleuth, which I guess I'm following already, sent me the attacker's address out of the blue. When I clicked into it, I saw an account with hundreds of millions of dollars. Either someone had pulled off a huge rug or there was a massive hack underway. Mm-hmm. At first, I like the way this guy's narrating this stuff. At first, I thought that, let's see who this is. I'm going to follow this person. This vendor protocol had been hacked yet again. However, it only took a couple of seconds to determine that the attacker really did deposit over 200 million USD into this protocol here. Instead, I needed to figure out where this 200 million.
I'll do a quick 200 million little flip flopper for 500 million. Sounds like a nice day. Good day's hard work.
Right? That's
better than flipping memes.
Just another weekend.
You gotta do something.
Go ahead if you have thoughts on this.
I don't want to talk about the Binance like specifically because I don't know all the ins and outs of the centralized ownership aspect yet, which I'm sure I'll learn by the end of the day.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's like it's something we haven't really dove over there too much.
And if you think about what Bullish said, right? So if that's right, if all 21 validators are run by Binance, I believe when they launched also allocated 50% of the total supply to themselves, right? So it would make sense, right? Like that they're going to run probably the majority of the validators over there because they're the ones who like hold the most economic interest to do so. But it doesn't, for me, it doesn't, it doesn't change anything. If you could shut shit down just because you know those people, like David Feeder knows 2 other validators, and those other validators all know the other validators, right? They're all friends. We know people who are probably going to be running a validator besides David Feeder on Pulse, and that's definitely an opportunity to learn more, but definitely put a pin in the cushion for not saying it's not going to be super successful.
Crypto Profeta, CZ is going to fork BNB to make it deflationary like Pulse Chain.
Nice.
Crypto's fucking insane.
So if they're going to fork that,
Profeta, going to fork it at a valuation of 0, kind of like, I'm assuming that's the way it has to go. But do you mean system state copy kind of situation, and then start fresh with like just kind of with a different native asset, or
share your resources?
The chain, you can't make the other chain go away.
Correct. Share your resources if you like where you believe that to be coming from. Let's finish reading through this. The answer was that the attacker had somehow convinced. Fake news? I hate you. Oh, was that fake? It wasn't real. Crypto Profeta, fucking. I love it.
I already made the trade, bro.
I know somebody we need to block in the chat. I think they're Crypto Profeta. No, let's get back into this. Just kidding. The answer was that the attacker had somehow convinced Binance Bridge to simply send them 1 million BNB twice. That's cool. Do a transaction, you're sending $100,000 and they just accidentally send you 200,000. Either Binance was finally running the biggest giveaway that Web3 had ever seen, or the attacker had found a critical bug. I started by Was that
biggest giveaway anyway?
Right, because isn't Pancake doing giveaways all the time, and you see that?
Well, it's just like ridiculous. It's all ridiculous. But keep going.
Okay. I started by comparing the attacker's transactions with legitimate withdrawals. The first time I went to speak. Sorry, everybody. I forgot I couldn't get to the mute button before that happened. I started by comparing the attacker's transactions with legitimate withdrawals. The first thing I noticed was that the height used by the attacker was the same. The heights used by legitimate withdrawals were much larger, such as blah, blah, blah. I also, wow, look at this fucking wall of text here. Code, it looks like. I also noticed the attacker's proof was significantly shorter than the legitimate withdrawals proof. These 2 facts led me to believe that the attacker had found a way to forge a proof that specific block, blah, blah, blah. Now I had to figure out how these proofs work. I like the way this guy's narrating his shit, right? This is good. On Binance, there's a special pre-compile contract.
You click on him and then you put his notifications on too, because then you can always read his stuff.
Yes, correct. I just followed him, so I'll put that on.
That's how you get really good, because you follow like 100 of those dudes, and then you're like, all day you're just like, oh.
Yeah, correct. On Binance, there's a special pre-compile contract used to verify whatever this is here, trees. If you don't know anything about this called trees, don't worry. I still don't understand about 95% of it. Fortunately, all you and I need to reproduce the hack is the remaining 5%. Let's see what that 5% is. So basically, when you verify an IAVL tree, you specify a list of operations. The Binance Bridge typically expects 2 of them, an ALVV operation and a multi-store operation. There are other implications. In order to forge a proof, we need both operations to succeed, and we need to last operation, the multi-store, to return a fixed value. The hash, this is pretty specific shit here. Looking at the implementation, we can convince ourselves with some effort, that it's impossible or at least very difficult to manipulate the root hash. Or you can just take my word for it. This means that we need our input value to be equal to one of the commit IDs. The input value of the multi-store operation is the output value of the other one that they're looking for. This means that we want to somehow control the root variable here while still passing the valid verification. Wow, this guy's on top of his shit. And this guy understands like 5% of what he was talking about, he said. So this is somebody who's pretty deep into this. We should talk to this guy on the show. If you guys know him, get him on it. We'll talk to him. So how is the root hash computed? Well, it happens in this monster of a function called compute hash. At a very, very high level, it recursively goes over each path and leaf and does a bunch of hashing, and really the implementation details don't matter. What does matter is that due to the way that hash functions are intended to work, we can basically say there with certainty that any path/n leaf pair will produce a unique hash. So I think he's talking about kind of like a Merkle tree, right? Where you have different probabilities of things that are happening, and each portion of the branch of the tree comes back and is partly represented in the hash. I believe, from my understanding, I'm definitely not even slightly pretending to know what I'm fucking talking about here. If we want to forge a proof, these will need to stay the same. Looking at the way that proof is laid out in a legitimate transaction, we see a very long path, no inner nodes, and only one leaf node. This leaf contains the hash of malicious payload. If we can't modify this leaf node, then we need to add a new one. Of course, if we add a new leaf, so this guy's really like into the deep weeds of this stuff. I think that this is probably a little bit bland for some people here. Let me know if we want to continue going through this. For some people,
I can also find like the shortest, most popular video too.
Well, here, let's get into that, because we have CZ. You guys can check this out.
Oh yeah, you have a video, right?
Yeah, so I have CZ. This is from this morning, talking about this. So I think it's on CNBC. We've listened to these guys before to just get an idea of what mainstream has to say. So let's get into this.
Binance saying a cross-chain bridge linking with its BNB chain was targeted, enabling hackers to move tokens off the network. In total, hackers withdrew 2 million tokens, about $570 million at current prices. Joining us now is Changpeng Zhao. He is Binance CEO. The hack comes as Binance launches a new program aimed at training law enforcement and prosecutors to fight against cyber crimes. CZ, it's good to see you. It's what we have seen hacked, and this was what, $500 million, $2 billion total. It's always when crypto is moving from one chain, one blockchain to another. Is that when it happens in a cross-chain bridge? What needs to be done?
Yes, so that is what happens for a cross-chain bridge. And what has to be done, I think, the industry, as an industry, we just got to learn how to learn from this kind of mistakes and make our code more secure. But software code is never bug-free. So, but in the blockchain world, whenever there's a bug, it could result in very large losses. This is one of the cases that happened. But we were able to minimize quite a lot of the damage to less than 100 million now.
I mean, we usually think of the
That dude could fart out 100
blockchain as being
100. He said 100 million, but I don't think. I mean,
it sounds like he's basically saying somehow we reimbursed or got the money back or rolled back the chain or something.
I think they froze it. Like
they froze it to figure out who it was, because you have to. If you stop it, then you can see, okay, because if it just goes, you're just cranked. So once they found it, then they shut it off. Then they figured out what it was, and then whatever plans that they do. Maybe he'll mention that. I do like that the dude comes on and talks if you're going to be a talking head billionaire, do some talking.
I mean, like this is the entire market cap of a lot of companies in the S&P 500. Like, think about that. That happened like that. The entire market cap. Like, if you look at the 250th largest company in the United States, it's in the S&P 500. I don't know if it's $600 million, right? But supposedly they gave back. Let's see if he talks more about that. They stopped it and they were maybe reimbursed the people. I don't know.
Almost fortress-like.
Let me go back in time.
And a lot of the damage to less than 100 million now.
I mean, we usually think of the blockchain itself as being almost fortress-like. So, and that's why with confidence you're able to say that everything else is safe in terms of the actual network, the BNB network itself has never been hacked.
Yes, in this case, the BNB blockchain itself has not been hacked. This is the cross-chain bridge that sits between two blockchains that allows users to change from one token to another. As you have said, we have seen many of this type of exploits in the industry this year, last year, but every bridge is a little bit different. So we're still, there are still new exploits that's being found, but the blockchain itself has no problems.
And how often in the course of the business and you know, your
Go ahead and pause that for 1
BNB,
second. It is important to know, guys, because like, you know, you can use cross-chain bridge from Ethereum to Binance. So I think it's important to understand when you use all-chain bridge, guys, or any of these bridging platforms, you only send a little bit at a time compared to your whole stack. Like you can't, like if you only have 100 grand in your account and you send 75 of it on all-chain bridge for the first time, like that's stupid.
Think about like if you were playing paintball, right? And you have a blockade here and you have a blockade here, and GRC is sitting across there. I'm sitting across there. We're about to fucking light you up as you run from one side to the other. So you're going to make that as quick as possible with a small amount so that we can't target it, right? That's one way to kind of think about going from one chain to the other, because that's where all the issues are seem to be.
And if the times are real slow and clogged up, like might not be the best time for you to send a lot of money through, because then it could take up to 20 minutes. It generally takes 1 or 2 or 3 minutes, but when it's clogged, it takes about 20 or 30. So, and it'll tell you if it's clogged before. So we're just telling you guys, because people use this stuff no matter what anyone has to say. You can tell people to sit there and stake their hex all day long, but I'll tell them what people are using on the blockchain and how to use it effectively. Because I use all-chain bridge all the time, but I don't send any more than $400, like $500, like, you know, and I wait. I'm like, you know, if I lost this, there's risk here. There's risk associated with this move. I assume, and I make that play. And then when it's over, I disconnect from it. And it is what it is. But it is important to understand that Binance was not hacked. The bridge was hacked. And we kind of know this logic at this point, right? Like a little bit. Like there's a bridge, guys. People move stuff. It's easier to attack because there's less US dollar in there than the whole pie. And then they can kind of they can kind of, I think that they said it cost like $150 million was like injected for the hack of some sort. You know what I mean? Like to make it lopsided or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. But I feel, Sam, that they'll be able to deal with this. I really do.
Oh yeah. Like
so easily. And this does make me curious about Pulse Chain. Very curious, right? There's a lot of features that Sam, now that I've had the luxury of using some of these features really effectively in crypto with no fees, it's like, I don't know if I can go back. Like, I really don't know. I can't spend a lot of fees. I'm not paying for fees. I'm not paying. I don't want to. The fees are so cheap, dude. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars last year on gas fees, and I'm a fucking pleb. Are you kidding?
Now you have ETH.
Now I've done thousands of transactions for under $10. And I feel so comfortable. I feel so comfortable. I feel like, you know what? Today, if I put a little money into Hex, I feel like I'm not getting railed. Like, I feel like if I wanted to swap back, if I had a problem in a week or whatever, let's say I wouldn't feel like I was getting wrecked. But on Ethereum, you always feel like you're getting wrecked because you're eating slippage, whatever, you're eating whatever, and 5%. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's going to clock. What do you think when we hit this next bull run and fees are back to $50 or $60? Like,
Sam, I think you'll be able to learn like a super turbo amount if you spreadsheet the GUI to block size on the day that Zen launches.
Ooh, that might be very interesting.
Yeah, so like, because that way in the future, you would pretty much be able to nail every single Ethereum. Like if you actually studied that, because there is a certain algorithm to the block size. So once you know exactly how many users there were, all you have to do is divide it by how many transactions per block. And then we can see what the prices were at the time. And then we can come back on the show the next day and say, hey, listen, this was ridiculous. None of us should be doing this. Or hey,
is there a specific GUI associated with every single block and the aggregation of all the transactions?
Well, I think it depends on which like in this case, when you mint that you can only mint a certain amount per block. I only know that for the Zen because I read it.
But you know how there's a block, right? That can store so much data, right? So each transaction is a certain amount of data. The block fills up, right? Depending on the order of operations associated with that, right? Like a LP position in V3 has more data than a transaction from me to you, right? There's just more data. So is there a way to see how much GUI was charged across blocks, like as an entirety, not just an individual transaction?
Well, I think you can look at the GUI because the GUI number, it's always, there's a chart. So like you could look at the chart for the GUI number and then look at it what it was at that time. And then because the GUI is exact, like compared to the exact amount of usage it used, you can figure it out. But again, you have to, I have never looked at all the numbers in front of me because I've always gotten bent over and railed when it came to gas fees, but now I don't even care. What's GUI? What is GUI?
This also, on a positive note relative to what's happening or all this exciting stuff around bridges and shutting down a chain, right? This could be a very good time to buy BNB chain when everybody's trying to sell, right? If there's a big drop off potentially. For people who like want to be over there and that kind of thing, because otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if this shit happens again, right? We've seen it before.
Often in the course of the business and your BNB, the coin is being used in a lot of different ways now. How often is a cross-chain bridge necessary in the normal course of Binance doing business?
I think it is used almost absolutely every day by people. So people do have the need to convert from one blockchain to another for various reasons. So the cross-chain bridge is an open source smart contract that just sits on the blockchain that facilitates those transactions. So, but once in a while, people do find vulnerabilities. In this case, it happened.
I mean, it's you're fine. BNB has what your market cap must be $45-50 billion in just BNB. So I understand $500 million, but $500 million is $500 million. So this is something that obviously some remedies are called for. Who would provide you with that? Can you do it yourself? The code?
So the software developers, the code is written by a group of software developers for the blockchain, which is what we call the community developers or core developers, and the nodes that maintain this network. There's like 26 or 44 nodes depending on how what you count, and they need to vote to do the upgrade themselves. So they collectively maintain the network, and when there's a new software version, they will vote for it. And last night, there's a couple of emergency upgrades that was done. And I think over the next couple of days, there will be a few more upgrades to be done. And there's also a few more votes regarding how the hacked funds should be handled will be voted by the community.
CZ, one of the catch-22s is that anonymity is part of one of the attractions for a lot of crypto. How can you bring in law enforcement, prosecutors, and give them the tools to be effective in guarding against something like this, and then at the same time maintain the anonymity that some people find so attractive? How do you walk that line?
Yeah, so to be honest, blockchain is pseudo-anonymous, meaning that we can see all the transactions on the blockchain, and there's blockchain analysis software or firms that specialize in analyzing this data, and they're quite good. And also with large centralized exchanges, we can correlate quite a number of address spaces with certain KYC information, linkages, etc. So when you combine those kind of information together, you can triangulate quite a lot of who likely are holding which cryptocurrencies, etc. And for law enforcement, if you track through this large amounts of information, you can trace it through. So in most cases, so it's not 100% guaranteed. So it's not a completely anonymous. That's part of the design for the blockchain we have today. And but it's also somewhat. It's not also not 100% traceable, but it can be traceable to a fairly large degree.
It's interesting stuff that's going on. Let me take this down here. It's interesting. I'd like to hear what you guys had to say. Let's go through some of these comments here. Imagine everyone says Rex instead of Hex. Same thing when you say Zen instead of Zen, right? Interesting. There's a lot of chat around Zen, right? Launching this coming week. How is Zen fare when it will be based on gas fees and little dude ain't going to mint $100 a gas fee? Well, I think you should just wait. It's going to be launching on 4 chains, right? And it sounded like they're going to be associated with Stargate, so you can bridge your shit across different chains and get it, or just save your $100 and do a market buy for $100 of Zen at that time, right? Or just wait till gas fees come down, and then buy some now, or like after gas fees come down. Danny, I swear to say Zen again and put it in the timeout. That looks like CZ's prison photo. I think he looks like that normally. I feel like that's how he normally looks. Jack and Conrad. Jack is greater than Conrad. I think I missed an inside joke there. He shouldn't have said software is never clean of bugs. Why do you say that? Most software does have bugs, though. It just you have to be able to go deep enough in there to figure out how to exploit them. RH going to wreck Conrad. Just for everyone who doesn't know, I don't know what that is in regards to Scott. What's good, Scott? Already a Zen contract on ETH and Zion. Only 121 holders. Site down and only a handful of transactions daily. Could that be a problem? I don't know what Zion is, or Zenon is, and the number of holders. Is that something very similar to it? If you want to leave it in the chat, we can go through and take a look at it. Danny boy. Thanks for the correction. Thanks is what Richard Hart speaks about. Misspelled words. Zen is a trash name, but many noobs are going to spell it Zen versus Zen, right? So it really, who cares, right? It doesn't matter to me that much. On RH Exchange, I don't know. He's using the Omni Bridge. Omni Bridge is the one that got hacked 2 months ago, right? The Omni Bridge, I think with Gnosis Safe, is the bridge that is going to be associated with PulseX. So if you think about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, there was a hack in Omni Bridge. So I would assume that they're paying attention to that, and however that was hacked is taken care of. I think that Richard's mentioned multiple times that security is a big thing, right, for him. So I think that, having an eye to security is probably going to be a very good thing, especially for people who choose to use it after it comes out, right? That there's not any actual issues with it. This is only a mainstream because ETH and POS probably want BSC out of the game. That is not true, even slightly.
Yeah, dude, you guys need to understand one thing before we continue. BSC does more trading volume than Ethereum. So you guys need to really learn. They do more trading volume. That means there's more people. That means there's more benefit to us talking and learning about this for everyone. You guys love your walled garden, love not telling anyone else about anything, love doing all that. But what we want to do is go over to the chains that have the most volume, because, they have most of the fucking users and the active daily users. Like, if you look at it, like, I'll show some.
I'll pull up Dex Screener for one of them. You pull it up. I'll pull up.
Well, I'm going to say something about what we were talking about. So transaction volume on Hex, for example, today on ETH chain. Like, this is what I mean when we say we need a little bit more Metcalfe's law action, if you know what I mean, Sam. Because, and I just want to say that in the nicest way possible, but 24-hour volume, USDC, Hex. Let's click into it and see what kind of transactions daily have we had, because I haven't looked at it today.
This is just on Hex or on Ethereum?
A Hex on Ethereum. So Hex on Ethereum, POS. Of course, I can't find the Hex ticker because it's so far down the list that I'm scrolling down right now. I'll tell you the number that it runs on. This is the Uniswap too. Hedron number 48. You want
to share so people get to see what's going on here with this?
Yeah. So
we're using Dex Screener just in case everybody wants to follow along. It's called Dex Screener.
So look.
Okay. Should put this in dark mode, bro. It's better.
I know. I could see yours is better. Where's the dark mode button?
Bullish. Where's the dark mode button in Dex Screener? Probably in the right hand corner, maybe.
That's probably more.
Yeah. Well, you can do it afterwards. But.
Whatever. So, guys, we're on Ethereum here, right? So we click Ethereum. All the blockchains are here on the left. So we'll go over a couple more, and we'll look. 1 hour. So we're on the 1 hour, guys, because I'm trying to make a point. So look at the 1 hour transaction volume here, okay? This is the last hour. And every time we do this, we're going to click transactions to see, because I'm looking for users, guys. I don't really care what the numbers are right now. They're all bullshit. A bunch of people with too much money. But in the last hour, we can see the number of people that work through this. And I'm not going to search it, Sam. I'm going to look at the actual chart. So we're going to go down and see how long it takes to run in. Have you heard of any of this shit? Nope.
Tama, I've heard of. I think it's a Dogecoin thing. But just literally because I looked it up the other day, I was like, why does this have so many transactions?
Baby Doge. This is oh shit. I had to click Uniswap. I'm sorry. So let's go down. Let's start going on Uniswap. Hex made Uniswap popular, guys. Remember that. So and it's true, but obviously things.
Never heard of any of these. Oh, Aped, I think I've heard of. TAM.
USDC. All right, where's my Hex? Why isn't it? Is it because no one's trading it? Yes. Listen to me. No one's trading it, and it's not on the top 50 on Uniswap, and everyone's like, Binance sucks balls. All this stuff sucks balls. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to find some users somewhere. Like, I want to help this cause go forward, and I know just sitting back and telling everyone to stake their stuff that would not work.
They're number 40. Number 40 on Uniswap.
Oh, yeah. So Hedron, funny enough, Hedron is before Hex on Uniswap. So remember all the Hedron fudders? Yeah, that was you in the chat. Yeah, that was you. Probably. Well, that's trading before Hex number 47. Let's keep going down. SHIB 2.0 beating on Hex for the hourly. It might not be on the top 100, guys. Like, I'm just trying to show you. Okay, 84. I found it, guys. 84. Right up hate. Right up next to V2 hate. $7.9 million of liquidity, and it's number 84 in trading volume. That's not bullish. That's uber bearish, dude.
Explain your thought process behind that.
Well, there's $7.9 million in the liquidity pool right now. As you can see, everything around it has nothing near that kind of cash, right? So these things have no liquidity, and they're getting traded with more volume, or at least compared to the pie. And that doesn't mean when the bear market doesn't go around, Hex isn't going to dominate. But Hex is just a heavy asset at this point.
Try 24 hours and see what it looks like.
Well,
we're going to tell a little
it's
bit.
Usually like a somewhat-ish, kind of close-ish.
Check number 40. I think number 40 is Hex.
I want to see when we run into Hedron first. Okay,
Hedron's 33. So 200,000 liquidity. 40
on Hex.
What's the liquidity?
90 transactions in the last 24 hours. I've done more than that on ETH myself. Just kidding. Not 490, but you know what I mean. Like, that's not Sam. All right, now I'm going to do something that's going to rock your world, Sam, all right? All right, this is going to fuck your head up, okay? And I haven't even looked at this yet, so I'm just assuming it's going to fuck your head up because I look at it all the time. So we're going to ETH Fair now. As we know, ETH Fair did 120% pump Hedron and Hex basically yesterday. Obviously, little corrections coming through. I did a nice little 10% seller just to make me feel like I was working. And I put it in my bank account. It's in my bank account now.
For 10% off the top.
Or PayPal, whatever centralized garbage I'm using. So let's go to Uniswap. Do you remember the amount of transactions it was like 600 or something?
I have it up. I can pull it up. Over the last 24 hours.
But look, Stan, this is it. This is all you got to look at. You don't have to pull up nothing. Look, 576 transactions on Hex WETH. That is just about the same exact. That's on ETH Fair, Sam.
That's more transactions than on mainnet. I'm just looking at 489. 489 on mainnet versus ETH Fair, which was fucking no volume over there relative to 2.0. And what was the 100 more transactions happened in Hex over there than.
We'll just call it the same because it's 2 weeks over. It's close. But Ethereum Fair just yesterday had no users. But what is happening now? Why did we want to position, Sam? Why was I saying I'm not sure about Fair? There's no volume, but I'm waiting for someone to take a chance on it. And that's what happened yesterday. You know, somebody took a chance on it. And Wow. Okay, so let's look.
Last hour.
What did that chance look like? And this is like one of the off pairs. I just wanted to show the pump.
Oh, right there. That was it right there, I think.
So yeah, this was the pump from yesterday, putting it into parity mode with the other chain. And then it's kind of figuring itself out from there. But do you know what I'm saying about the volume? Like
go to W and let's check W.
Let's go to Hedron. Oh, Hedron. Let's see how many transactions 24 hours for Hedron so we can do these.
Okay, yeah, so we can compare them. And I'll tell mainnet right now.
333. And that's just one pair.
For Hedron? On W. On F. Okay.
On F in 24 hours.
On mainnet, there's 560. 560 on mainnet for Hedron.
So they're close on both. And people need to understand that really badly. Like so badly. Like if you think that I'm just stupid and you're just way smarter and then I just study this shit all day. Literally, that's the only reason. People hate me literally because I'm good at it. They hate that I'm good at it. I'm like, guys, you realize I've been good at stuff before in my life. Like just because I didn't know crypto when I got into it, I've done a million things awesomely in my life and a million things horribly. You know what I mean? So I like this stuff and I think it's really not super hard, but I dedicated 24 hours of my day to it. And that's the part that's the difference between me and most people. It's not the brain in my head is any different than anyone else's. I have ADD just like every other motherfucker, like whatever. Like I want to think about whatever. I want to chill with my friends. I want to do the stuff that I love. Like that's what I want to do. And I don't think of that as a negative. But you know how it goes. So I think it's important to remember like Metcalfe's law, we need more users. This is what crypto is all about. More users. We need more users. Or the product won't do what you guys want. The guys want the product to do a certain thing. And I'm telling them, it's never going to do what it did in the first 600 days again in the same time period. It's impossible, frankly.
It's just way too heavy now.
It's impossible.
Yep.
But it could still do like 300x. Like it's crazy shit.
Correct. I completely agree. Hey, I'm gonna pull this up on or you want to pull it up in W? I think you're gonna find this fascinating. Pulling up W.
Yeah, what do you got?
Check it out. Check out the number of transactions on W for
24 hours.
For 24 hours.
The first pair, which is 180K volume, is 2,000.
2,200 transactions.
63. That's 3 times as much, 3.5 times as much as Ethereum mainnet. Guys, when I tell you users move because of cheap fees, I'm not saying it to annoy you. I'm not saying it to bother and hurt your feelings. When Sam pulls up the spreadsheet for the end stake fees and says this isn't feasible, it's not because he hates you. It's because it's not feasible. And we don't have sharding yet. And we're going to do a whole episode on sharding.
And we'll dive deeper to get a better understanding of that. Look at Hedron here. Also, just as much volume as mainnet. Pretty crazy. This is what low. So what do you think as the person who's looking at this data on a regular basis, right? Because you're spending, I look at this, but not as frequently as you do. And I think that gives you an insight and intuition into the data. People like cheap fees, right? People want to go where the shit is fucking cheap and it doesn't cost multiple dollars to do a transaction, right? And you can do this on W, you can do this on F without a problem. And it's proof of work. So you don't have to deal with validators. You don't have to deal with all that BS. Not that.
Yeah. So man, wouldn't it have been so much better for the Hexicans if none of these forks came out and we didn't get 15,000 extra transactions a day? Yeah, it would. It would be a lot better for your guys' place where you're biased for make you feel better when you go to bed because you're not focused enough. These things are going to happen so quick, and I guarantee this chat, half of the people in this chat won't be able to keep up in about 6 months because it's going to get absolutely fucking insane. And I'm probably going to be on absolute neurotic, crazy mode, focused 24/7. Everyone in my life hates me. I'm excited for it. So, you know, I can't wait. There's going to be more forks, more diversity, more smart chain bridges, more options that are derivatives of staking, more. Everyone else in the community wants less. Protect me. Crypto's not the future. I don't know if this is going to work out. So just make sure everything's safe. It's like, nope. This is the guy who invented this told me exactly why people go to certain blockchains. He said people will go where the fees are cheap and the UI is good. And he's probably said it about 150,000 fucking times.
We've seen this example with BSC. BSC has about 5x the number of transactions per day compared to Ethereum. And now we're seeing these other chains launch like W and F. They have a combined, like if you look at Hex, the combined on both of these POW networks is multiple what it is on mainnet, right? Like you had 500 and 600 on one and 500 or 600 or 2000 on the other one, right? That's like I don't know, 7x, 7 times the amount of transactional volume. Well, who does these transactions? These are users. Users are doing these transactions, and there are a lot more transactions on these other networks because people want them. People want this kind of stuff, right? This is fascinating. That's interesting. You also took 10% off the top there.
Sam, when it comes to patience, like impatient people pay patient people. Yes, you are correct. That is something that I am super hyper aware of. And that's why I try to tell you guys, I don't care about money that much, because I notice when you do care about money a lot, it tends to skew the way that you actually end up getting it in the long term. Like if you want too much now, if you're willing to rob a car right now to get 100 grand, you're not going to make more money than me in the future. Like you're going to go to jail probably. So it's important to understand, like I got in on these chains and streamed it and published it when the valuation was just about next to zero. So everything that I've made on all of these has just been pure profit. And I'm going to do the same thing on Pulse Chain. And I'm going to do the same thing on Zen. And I'm going to let it ride. I have Hex and Hedron on 3 chains, and I'm a degen. That's literally all I have. I don't even hold the native asset because I don't think it'll pump as hard. So I'm just like, I don't like to because I know too much about Hex and Hedron. So I'm like, dude, we have more users. I have more Hex. I have more Hedron. There's more learning experiences. There's more things going on. There's more miners getting paid that are benefiting us because they sell. And then what do? They use their money. And then what if it does 100x? I'm just telling you the potential on some of these chains. The difference between Ethereum POW, Ethereum Fair, and Pulse Chain is that these two had zero valuation. Pulse Chain will never really have true zero valuation because too many people sacrifice for it.
That's true.
That money's always technically up in the air, and it changes the dynamic. And that's why when people see this, they're like, what's happening? I'm so scared. There's only double the amount of users today as the Ethereum chain, and it's out for 2 weeks. And they're like, and I'm like, guys, just because they didn't do a sacrifice phase and the launch phase isn't the same doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It doesn't mean that the future isn't bright. It doesn't mean that you should stop paying attention. If I remember correctly, day 1 through 4, all you guys were not buying, and I was. So, and I remember the same thing on Hex Fair and Hex ETH POW and Hedron at the bottom. So every time I start buying something, it ends up being a good deal, but I don't sell my shit. That's the one thing everyone thinks I dump all my shit. Mm-hmm. I don't really dump any of it. I maybe swap 10% to USDC or put a little in my bank account so I can feel like I'm doing something. But like when the returns get to that 300, 400, 500% mark, you taking 10%, it's no issue.
Yeah, correct.
I wanted to go real quick and look at Uniswap again, see if there's anything on here that I want to notice. And then yesterday I actually padded my POW position. So yesterday I went through and padded my POW position because the ETH bear went up so much, and the ETH POW still, they kind of are meeting the same way, but their trajectories were opposite. Like ETH POW got that initial huge pump, and then no one knew about ETH fair, and then they kind of cranked to the same point because people figured it out. So it's fun to watch in real time. People figure this out, Sam.
It is. I still have a bunch of POW, which is the coin associated with POW swap. If you guys are not familiar, when he says POW, that's what it is. It's not like it does anything special, but it is. If you can, we don't know if it's going to be Uniswap or like what's going on the.
Can that be our last segment? Last 10 minutes.
Yeah. This is perfect. I didn't realize it was 12:10 already.
PulseX, V2. And V3 liquidity providing. I went into the spaces yesterday and had a conversation with a couple of guys. And it comes down to a couple of things, Sam. But I want to talk through and get to those because I got to fiddle them out of my brain a little bit. It's a little early for me. I just woke up. But I was in the spaces saying, I think V2 is not cool. And I think V3 is super cool. And I think V2 is a worse version of V3. That's why it's an upgrade. And I want to know how long until I get this. And if someone tells me 3 months after launch, I'll be happy with that. That's fine. That's okay. But if someone says, I don't know, and then there's this intellectual property thing with Uniswap. It's interesting. They have a time lock on their intellectual property, which I don't really understand other than obviously it doesn't sound that confusing. So at some point, it's more open source than others. Like at one day it becomes super open source, but right now it's kind of like they could shut it down if they wanted to because it's intellectual property. So they could sue, I'm sure. But Sam, we see Ethereum front ends being spun up by Alex on the other two. Why can't that happen? And I believe if that does happen, eventually, if Pulse X stayed at a V2 state, people would move to the V3 option.
Correct.
But eventually, that could be years. Could be half a year. You know, I still think the gains for the first couple of months in V2 can be explosive. But again, that's kind of the reason I don't like it.
I'm definitely a big fan of V3. When I looked this up a while back, there's a specific type of license you can get that locks your IP up for a period of time. They chose 2 years. So I believe the license took place in May 2021. So I don't know if it was predated and then that they launched in 2021, which means that maybe it's in, April or March. But this is the data that when I looked it up previously. So that means 2 years after, say, May, right? That would be May of this year, which we've already passed. We're creeping up on May of next year. And that's when the software, from my understanding, is going to now be open source, where anybody could use that. So PulseX could implement that. If PulseX implements V3, fucking game over. Like that would be awesome. So the people who want single-sided staking, right, who don't understand V3, right, those people are going to get butthurt because they don't realize what V3 is, and you can do single-sided staking and this kind of thing. And they want like the incentive token thing that literally, all right, says like, don't be even slightly concerned about this. It's like it's like underneath my feet. I don't really care about it.
Richard said that too, and that it crushed the hearts of many, many, many clueless guys. I'm telling you, how many clueless guys were like, what? The incentive token? But all the smart guys that know about the incentive token, understand the dynamics. It's a little different. I was trying to explain it to some dude who like sounded like he knew what he was doing in the Twitter spaces, but he didn't know what V3 was at all. And he was telling me, he's like, I was just like, bro, you better stop talking. Everyone's going to unfollow you. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
There's 300 million people in crypto. And do you know how many few of those 300 million people actually understand V3? Very, very
1%.
And V3 gives you so much more data. It is
it's less buttons. People don't know it's less buttons, which is in crypto, that's everything. That's everything. And it's less assets to take care of. And you generally, at the end of the day, will make more.
Yeah, and you can definitely make more, 1,000%.
Unless it's the beginning of the launch. You can't call it at the beginning of the launch.
You don't know at the beginning, but then as soon as some maturity level passes, whether it's 2 months or six months, probably closer to 2 months.
But that's what I'm telling you. There is a little of that, like V2 for 2 months could be like an alpha move.
But here's the thing. What do you think? What do you think, right? If you have a business and for 2 months you do it this way, 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 and then immediately like, change your plans, we're doing something different. Do you think that's going to fuck too many of the noobs up?
They don't know anything anyway. They don't.
So what you're saying is as long as the UI, as long as what they fucking see on the screen is similar enough.
As long as Richard's tweeting it, everyone's tweeting it, and everyone's
somebody delete this guy in the chat here.
As long as everyone's doing it, Sam, it doesn't matter. Like if Richard says it, 90% of the people in this community will do it. Put their money anywhere Richard tweets, but he's not going to tweet about whatever, like he's going to be pretty particular, and they know that, and that's their hedge, right? Like that's their hedge. Like instead of studying all the time like we do, they're just going to wait for Richard, which is probably optimal to a degree. Like, like if you're working all the time and have kids, like listening to Richard could be like 10-star alpha. But if you could be a little in front of Richard because he doesn't stream all the time, like he probably knows all this stuff. But I think
maybe like you're saying though, maybe if it is a 2, 3, 4, 5 month period of time of V2,
I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. But everyone says V3 is part of. It's going to be part of this. They just might have to make new code. It's V3, but they don't know what the code looks like, and or they can't copy the code directly, and they have to do it again. But to me, that's not an issue. Like that seems not hard. Like from a building businesses perspective, billions of dollars, like Richard says he has. Like, dude, if I had $1 billion, I could get someone to build a Uniswap for me. I guarantee it. I get 20 people to do it. $1 billion.
Correct. And you don't need the license. You can just build your own new fucking software.
I'll say, hey, everyone in Maryland. I'll take the top 5 devs in Maryland. I'll give them $300, $300,000 a month a week or a month for 6 months. And I'll give them like all $1 million a piece. I'll say, hey guys, this is my dream. I have $1 billion, so I'm willing to eat 5 million of it and just go at it or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, at what point there's a lot of risk in building your own code. So remember, Richard is deferring to Vitalik for a lot of this shit. It's basically Richard remarketing and repackaging what Vitalik created. So and that's not a problem, but Richard is not going to remake code from scratch generally in a good time frame, at least. Because think about it, there's so many factors. We're not even sure about all-chain bridges yet. And we're building new code for Uni. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of risk in all this stuff. And that's why when Richard was telling everyone 2 months, 2 months, 2 months, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, that was bad. That's where he messed up. He should have just said, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But then he got the $2 billion. He was marketing. Mm-hmm. But I understood that. I was okay with that. I don't even care about. I have Pulse already right now. I can switch to Pulse when Pulse comes out. People forget that you can move your shit, and it's free on ETH-POW.
Correct. You can take all of your shit from one network and put it onto another network. But then here's the thing. That strategy though seems risky to me.
What?
Putting all your money into one network.
Oh, no, not one. No, I would never do that ever.
Right. Especially after just all the shit that's happened over the last 10 months since we've been in crypto, or since I've been in crypto. I just personally wouldn't want to put all my money into, Pulse, right? It just does, given how concentrated it is and centralized it is. This
comment I'm interested in. PLS can be classified as a security compared to ETH 2.0. I don't know. I would like to know. First of all, that's merit for change at any moment due to the SEC, so you'll never be able to know that.
That's right.
And two, if there is some points on that, I'd like to hear them. But if that's just you're thinking that, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Not saying you don't know anything. He's just trying to say what's the thought process behind it so we can understand what you're saying. But then it's also a super valid point. The government doesn't give a shit about what's a security or not. They want control. So if they want to change the rules, they'll just change the fucking rules and say it's a security, and they'll make up new.
Yeah, they have to weigh a risk and reward of human people revolting. There is a bit of okay, if 100,000 people with $1 million lose all their money, we could be in a weird little spot. So because it's all about people. They don't care what us plebs are making. They really, really don't. They care. They maybe care a little bit about what Richard's doing and what Vitalik's doing and what Binance CZ is doing and a couple of these guys. But in general, it's they're okay with all of us making money. They just want to know how, we literally, if Richard was a complete, and I respect Richard Hart more than just about anyone, but if Richard Hart, I forgot the point I was making. What were we talking about?
About being, I'm reading the comments about being centralized, so I wasn't particularly paying super.
Yeah, so we'll just see, guys. Proof of stake versus proof of work. This is all early. Spread yourself out a little bit.
We're 1.0 in crypto. We're 1.0 in crypto. This is going to be a long time. There's going to be a lot more shit that gets fucked up and people stealing money and all sorts of stuff. Here, okay. Stoic Seal, PLS versus 2.0. He's saying that DPOS, I'm not sure what DPOS is, but could be considered a security because you're putting capital staked coins into a common pool validation to earn a profit and fees. So the same thing happens with Pulse, though. So that would be a security then, right? mean, if that's the definition people are using.
Tell me,
same
Sam.
thing
Talk
happens.
to me. Just talk to me. You know more about. You know a lot about this stuff, so it's important that you explain it out.
If Stoic is accurate, right, the reasoning behind the SEC saying that 2.0 is now a security is because I've got ETH. I'm going to give that to GRC, who runs a validator. GRC is going to pay me, right? What is those 4 things in the Howey test? What the expectation of profit, right? So I'm expecting profit from this because it's how it's being marketed. So if I put something with GRC with the expectation of profit, then that's a security according to that test there. Well, the same thing happens on Pulse, right? We've got 31 or so validators. And if you stake your Pulse with them and you're expecting a 2 or 3 or 5 or 7% return on your funds, well, then that would be considered a security. And remember, probably most of these validators are going to be United.
But Hex is cool because it burns all your coins.
Yeah. And there's no validators with Hex. It's
Dude,
built
I
on
love
top
Hex.
of it.
I love Hex.
Right. Hey, I'm going to be talking real quick before we wrap things up. My buddy just got into Hex, just got into Hedron. He actually got into Hedron first, and he's seen multiple X's based upon the information I was telling him a couple months ago. Right. We're going to be talking about Hex, Hedron, Icosa, liquidity providing, and the whole shebang from a new person's perspective, right? So he's going to have questions that I might not necessarily think of at this point because I'm down the road further than somebody else. So we're going to be going live at 5 p.m. EST tonight, 5 p.m. EST. So grab your drink, your water, and tune in at 5 p.m. EST. It's going to be really good. Anybody, if you know somebody who's like fresh to crypto or who's new into crypto and like, there's a lot of nuanced things going around and it's hard to grasp those things. That is exactly why I asked my buddy to come on, because it's going to be very valuable to those people who don't know what's happening yet, who want some of these like topics explained in a little bit deeper, which we might not cover here because we've talked about it 100 fucking times. So that's what I'm going to be doing tonight at 5 p.m. EST. GRC, are you going live at 1 or 1:30 today?
Yeah, I'll be live at 1. I'll be live at 1. I got to do a couple things and then I'll be live, guys. So over the 2 top Hex pairs on V2 and V3 on Uniswap, there's 125 grand on Fair in liquidity.
So repeat that for me just slower. So Fair, Hex.
On the Hex pairs, like if you wanted to swap Hex for another asset, any other asset with liquidity, you have roughly 140 grand. If you move into different pools now, you can't, but there's aggregators. People don't understand there's aggregators. So like 1inch.io, and I'm saying for ETH, I haven't used that, but because the fees are so cheap that I haven't thought about it. But understand, guys.
But that's also what a router does too. Just so like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, there's $130,000 of liquidity on Fair, but it's in 6 pairs or 12 pairs or whatever the F it is. If I have a trade, sorry, Bullish, if I have a trade from, say, ETH to Hex or Hex to ETH, they might route that through one of those other 12 pairs or 4 of those other 12 pairs.
You're correct.
To execute that trade, the best price for me.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. And if anyone has used like HyperSwap in the beginning, like when like the forks first came out, it would show you the actual path, and it would show you that it's going into other pools to like, you know, to scoop up and like complete your order.
Good point.
But yeah, I just wanted to hop on just to like give a quick update regarding the BNB pot giveaway stream we were doing. That's been postponed. Jacob decided to postpone the launch of Jackpot for like another week. I think that was the best decision, just to like let things get back to normal on that chain, and you know, for him to decide what he wants to do. So we're basically gonna push it over a week. So on Monday I'll have like updates as far as like the actual date and time for the updated event. And last but not least, make sure you subscribe to the new channel. You can go to citmcast.com and it'll have all the links to our new YouTube, social, etc. As soon as we get to 1,000, we're gonna switch over to that channel and have a whole new design. That's gonna be fully produced. So we're looking forward to do that, but we need your support. So please go over there and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna drop it in the chat.
That's perfect. Thank you. This just is the last thing, and then we can wrap things up here. MJ42. When gas goes crazy next bull run, won't Zen too as well? So think about this. The value of Zen is effectively the gas cost. So if gas cost goes up, does that mean the value of Zen is going to go up because there's also a lot more people in the network? I don't know. I think that there's going to be some really creative utility that is added to the spigot, so to speak, on this. This channel is a great source of information. Ryan, you're an awesome person. Thank you for that. You're muted. You're muted, bro.
Ryan's an old school Hexagon, bro. And by old school, I mean he's not he's a young man. I don't know how old he is, but I'm pretty sure he's been in the Hex game for a long time. And I appreciate every time you comment on here. And I really do appreciate your vibe. As someone who I'm assuming has more money than me, I'm just assuming. I don't know your life, obviously. You are so open-minded and you are so friendly. And more of that in crypto is going to change the world. More guys like him, smile on his face, pictures with his family. Beautiful, you know, you can tell he's doing well or whatever, like, you know, but I only know that because I'm in the Hex community, and I know all the guys that we're in, you know, like I can kind of tell. And I think it's awesome that he's adjusting to some of he doesn't know when Pulse Chain's going to come out. He's just there he wants information. That's why this channel's here. It's not necessarily for about who has the most money. Everyone's got a job or a life or a girlfriend or a kid or a family. So why can't my job for a couple of years be to take some of the, like my job is to take some of the slack off those guys so they can make more critical decisions and so they can be more ready to make whatever decisions they want, because they honestly, those are the guys that make the market. So other than the young guys that don't have any money yet, those guys too that are busy, I hope this channel can be a good resource for them while they're doing their thing, businesses or whatever, and they can watch it, because I promise I'm not giving you any information. I'm not selling on anyone's heads. I don't care about that. This is all chump change to me compared to what it's going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm aware of that. And me and Sam are both bodybuilders. We're very patient people. Like we waited years and years and years to have a body that we desired. And, you know, those kind of people we're used to hanging out with a lot. And we're used to guys that every single day, all they do is think about the future. What can I do better? How can I get better now? What can I eat today to be better today? What can I do today to be better today? And that's kind of the ethos that me and Sam are bringing into crypto, but we're doing it in the like critical research way of some of those pharmacology researchers that we did, and some of those research papers and some of those doctors that we studied, you know, like it's the same ethos. It's just a different subject. And this has been just a pleasure to be a part of. And thank you to everyone that's in here.
And thank you to GRC, and thank you to Bullish too, because I appreciate both of you guys, but I also appreciate everybody who's watching, like everybody who's participated or watched in the past. Like and I speak for both of them because otherwise they wouldn't be here. Enjoy doing this. This is fun. We get to learn from you guys. We get to learn ourselves. We all get to grow through this together. And one thing that I think is kind of what we're doing as we go through this is, if we could go back and watch, say, LeBron or Michael Jordan, right? And he had a daily vlog of how he was thinking, what he was doing at practice, all the things that were going on, injuries, XYZ. And we had this blog or this vlog of Michael Jordan practicing every day, his going through his mental stuff, talking about all this stuff a lot. How incredibly valuable do you think that would be? We are trying to do that in the crypto space. As we learn, as we grow, as we evolve as humans, as we evolve to be better leaders in our own life, with our relationships, with our other businesses, with everything else we do, we want to bring that into the show. We want to help everybody get better through this process, because that's how we fucking change this world. That's how we get from where we currently are with all the crazy shit that's happening around the world and governments around the world to impacting the world in a positive way. That's all I got. You guys check out down below for Instagram. Don't forget to check out 5 p.m. EST for my channel going live. GRC is going live 1:30, talking probably more about this stuff and some other stuff. So catch us there. And you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for being in here. Why doesn't help encourage Alex to dip catcher to pivot to ETH POS, blah, blah, blah. Guys, everyone, great to see you in here. When is Zen launching on Polygon? Guys, I'll be live at 1 o'clock. If you want more, I'm going to have like 3 or 4, Zen, Binance, all this stuff. ETH POS, ETH Fair, Dex Screener. We're going to look at it. We're going to do a video reaction. We're going to get going, guys, 30 minutes from now. I hope everyone has a great day. Crypto DeFi Proof is the official rapper of this channel, and we're going to leave it with him, guys. Crypto in the Morning live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Guys.
The Jim Rat Crypto Show live every single day, 1 p.m.
Nice.
Eastern. Guys, let's get it. Sam's live at 5 p.m., I think.
Yeah, you guys have 3 shows. You guys have a morning show, Jim Rat Crypto Show, and the Sam Stoll Show. So,
And we're gonna continue to push, like, help people go through the process of like having different topics that we're talking about, different things that we're learning at each one of these things to go through to help people get up to speed faster and learn just more quickly.
And at some point, I will also be releasing content on my channel, mainly how-tos, nothing live, just a lot of like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Because I get a lot of repeated questions. So I'm going to use my channel as a resource. You know, when someone asks me a question, I can just shoot them a video that I already did.
Dope. That'll be awesome because he's into some really fucking nerdy shit that we don't understand. So this way that nerdy shit can be put out into the ethos. So DeFi proof.
You guys are not the feds. If you find my name and look it up, you will know very, very quickly that I am not the feds. I guess you couldn't be an informant for crypto. It wouldn't really make sense. So everybody, amazing day. Crypto in the Morning intro song, guys. Have an amazing one.
You already know what time it is.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on fools.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting on fools.
Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning.
Ready to take notes.
Smoking a blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. and already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedge and I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. Jim Rat sent me to show you the way.
DeFi proof. Yeah.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Crypto in the morning.
Waiting